In today's video, we'll be making Blinding Lights by The Weeknd using Ableton Live Intro with nothing but stock instruments, sounds and effects from the core library that's present when you first install Live. We'll be working on the main chorus in the song, but feel free to expand your project to include other sections as well. Let's begin with a new project in Ableton Live. Today I'll be working in Session View, which means I can generate clips of music and launch them in whatever order I want. It's different to working in the Arrangement View, which is a much more traditional linear timeline. You can toggle between the two by clicking on these buttons up the top here, or a quick way to jump between the two is using the Tab button on your keyboard. We'll also be working entirely in MIDI, so I can delete these audio clips by either clicking and hitting delete on my keyboard, or right-clicking and hitting delete there. Firstly, we'll select our BPM, which is going to be 171 today. And if your metronome is lit up like mine, I can switch that off. We don't need to have that activated. So let's begin with the drums. Heading over to our library, I'm going to select our drum section, get an instance of drum rack, and drag it into the session. I'm going to rename that by right-clicking, hitting rename, and that's just our drums. Now we have our drum rack. We can hit Command F or Control F if you're using a PC computer. I'm using a Mac, so I'm going to hit Command F, and that opens up a little search up here, and we want to search for kick bricks. And we'll drag that onto the C1 cell down here. We can preview the sound by hitting play, and there's our kick. Next, we're going to search again, Command F or Control F if you're using a PC. And we want to search for snare acoustic nightly. There it is. I'm going to bring that into D1. Search again with Command F. And we want to find clap 808 revive. And let's use the revive 2. Bring that into F1. Hats next. And we want to look for hi-hat closed 2B. Right up top there. Bring that into A1. Lastly, we want to find crash China stick hit. We'll put that onto B1. Excellent. Now we need to make a clip to place our notes. So I'm going to double click on the top cell here, and we want to make the length 8 bars. So I want to be working in the first 2 bars here. So I'm going to zoom in. And we want to put our kicks in first. So I'm going to put them on the 1s and the 3s. And in the second bar, we're going to make a little alteration here. We want to put the snares on the 2s and on the 4s. For our hi-hats, we can just make one long note. And if we go and change our beat divisions down to 1/8, right click on the note and chop notes on grid. There we've got our hats. Let's have a quick listen. Awesome. So those hats are very robotic. So I'm going to randomize the velocity of those a little bit so they sound a little bit more natural. I'm going to click here, head down the bottom here, set our randomization to 50, hit enter, and we can randomize that a bit. And that looks pretty good to me. Just gives it a bit more variation and a bit more of a human feel. Cool. Now I want to select all of these notes, making sure I'm not over selecting into the 3rd bar. I can zoom back out, and as the pattern repeats throughout the whole 8 bars, I can right click on the notes and hit duplicate, or using my keyboard, I can hit Command D. Again, that would be Control D if you're on a PC. And we copy those out. Add the crash on the 1 there. Zoom into our last bar and add our clap fills. Make sure that's right. Nope, Move those one over. There's our drums. Excellent. So I'm happy with that pattern, but I would like to change some of the sounds up, tighten some of the kick and the snare a little bit, and play around with the volumes, because that clap at the end there is very loud. The crash at the start is very loud. The hi-hats are a bit too loud. So let's fix that stuff up. I'm jumping between my MIDI piano roll clip and my instrument by hitting Shift and Tab on my keyboard, but you can also change it down here between these two. So I'm going to go back to my instrument, and let's bring the hi-hats in volume down to maybe about -20 dB. That crash can come down as well, maybe -16. The clap can definitely come down, probably about -18. And I want to tighten my snare up. It's very similar in tone to the original song, but the original song has a much shorter sort of snare. So I'm going to fade it out here after chopping the tail end off a little bit. Let's have a listen to that, preview it. Yeah, much tighter, love it. I'm also going to go to the kick, and I'm going to transpose it up, which means I'm pitching it up a few, which is going to shorten the sound and also make it a little bit higher up, which is much tighter. So let's go back and have a quick listen. Much better. Check for those clap fills. Yep, very happy with that. Last thing I want to do is I want to go to my sends here, which connects me to the effects in the track that we've got in our return lanes. So I'm going to bring that reverb send up a little over halfway to give us a bit of space in the drums. Much better. Let's move on to our next instrument, the backing chords. So search for Ableton Winterpad. There we go. I'm going to drag that onto our next MIDI channel. And I'm going to rename that by right-clicking. We want to double-click to make a clip, and we're going to make that clip length 8 bars. And what you need to do is copy in the following notes. Now, I'm going to minimize this, and you can pause the video and see the notes that you need. Hit Shift Tab, move over to my instrument, and I don't really need to do much over here. I need to move the wave position down to 52, which makes it a little bit less bright. As this is a backing track, I'm going to lower the volume quite a bit. And by backing track, I mean it's the backing chords. And I'm going to lift up that reverb that's sending to our reverb, and let's have a listen. Nice. Let's move on to the bass. The instrument we'll be using is basic fine line bass, and we'll drag that out to create a new MIDI track. I'm going to adjust the color so it's a little bit different to the others, and rename. Make a clip, make it 8 bars. Take off the fold so we can see all of our notes, and again I'll allow you to pause the video and copy in these notes. Otherwise we'll move on to shaping the tone of the bass. I'm going to head over to my instrument, and let's change this filter cutoff to 416 Hertz. Going to make that drive a little bit higher as well at 3 dB, and the filter attack around 17%. I'm going to bring that volume back as well to about, let's say, -9, and we'll have a listen. In context with the chords. I think that volume can still come back a little on the bass, so I'm going to bring that down to about -11. Now, something I noticed in the original track is that the bass was quite wide and in a very stereo sort of field. So our bass instrument, not so much. What we can use is an effect called chorus, and chorus is used to widen things out. So I'm going to find chorus bass. There it is. I'm going to bring that onto our channel down here, and let's have a listen to the effect just in isolation on solo. Without the effect. And in context with the rest of the mix. And that's great. That's working really well. So the last move is to create that iconic lead synth. So let's go and find Cruiser strings. Bring them in to make their own MIDI track. Right click. And that's our lead instrument that we're going to be making. So make an 8-bar clip. And copy in the following notes. Now we need to go and shape the sound that we're working with. So I don't really like the reverb on this one, so I'm going to bring that all the way down and use our effect scent. Really give that some space there. I want to bring the attack all the way down as well. Get a little bit more unison going, about 19 there. And we'll bring the decay release up to 94, which will let the notes ring out a little more. And we'll have a listen. Might adjust that volume just a little bit, bring it down. But there we have Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. By all means, feel free to expand further on your project by making other sections of the song. There's some instruments in there that you could add as well. And I hope you enjoyed today's video.